The following interview was conducted by Carol Hansen of KCBS in San Francisco. It's a special feature for the CBS network program Sunday Desk, originating in Hollywood, March 22nd, 1953.
Quietly and reverently, a group of fighting men from our U.S. Navy are celebrating an anniversary this week. It was just 10 years ago they fought one of the most unusual naval battles in modern history. The engagement is known as the Battle of the Komandorsky Islands, little heard of 10 years ago. It was fought in the icy Bering Sea, and our victory was extremely strategic because it cut a vital Japanese supply line from Siberia to Alaska. The U.S. heavy cruiser Salt Lake City, commanded by Captain Bertram J. Rodgers, now Admiral Rodgers, Commandant of the 12th Naval District, was one of 6 American warships cruising the Aleutian Sea on the alert for Japanese troopship movements. The other ships consisted of a light cruiser and 4 destroyers. Suddenly, on the morning of March 26, 1943, our task force sighted what was thought to be a group of Japanese merchant ships. Our group closed in for the kill. But behind those merchant ships came an armada of 10 enemy warships, 2 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, 6 destroyers. Our task force was outnumbered 2 to 1. The battle was on, and it raged for 3 hours and 23 minutes, the longest naval battle in modern history. The Salt Lake City was drawing the concentrated fire of the enemy, and it was heavy. But her guns never stopped firing, although her steering control was perilled and she was unable to maneuver properly. Defeat seemed imminent, and then emerged one of those miracles. In addition to the armor-piercing shells, the Salt Lake City was finally forced to use high-capacity shore bombardment shells, which exploded the moment they hit the water. And it gave the enemy the impression our planes had arrived and were bombing them. They quickly retired, gave up the plan to reinforce Attu. On this 10th anniversary of the Battle of the Komandorsky Islands, we've asked Admiral Bertram Rodgers, Commandant of the 12th Naval District and the skipper of the Salt Lake City, for his most unforgettable experience in that memorable engagement.
Well, of course, there are many that I'll never forget, but the one thing that comes to me first was the sight of our chaplain. We had Chaplain Hodge, who was a Catholic priest on board, who carried the Blessed Sacrament around with him through those 3 hours and 25 minutes of living hell, patting everybody on the back. To me and to all of the officers and men of the ship, he was the spark plug. He was the reason that we were able to carry on. The other one was a little bit sort of ridiculous that I'll never forget, however. During the battle, of course, since the Admiral was on another ship, I had to keep him informed as to what speed my ship was making. And towards the end of the engagement, I was flying speed flags, signal flags, and I had this speed up, Mike speed 0, when my engines had stopped because of water in the oil. And during this time, when I had these 3 flags which said Mike, and then the second one speed, and the third one said 0, the Japanese were ungentlemanly enough to put an 8-inch shell right through the middle of the 0 flag.
Admiral Rodgers, how do our West Coast naval defenses today compare with those trying months of 42 and 43?
Well, the West Coast, I mean all of the West Coast, California and Washington, and particularly California and Washington, but especially San Francisco, are in very, very excellent shape. Due to the Korean War, we have built up not the American defenses in our country, but we've had to build up to support the Korean War. So that today, the West Coast, the California coast of, the San Francisco Bay Area particularly, but also the San Diego area, are part of the largest naval base in the world because they are supporting the only big active war in the world.
Well, thank you, Admiral Rodgers. This is Carol Hansen in San Francisco, and now back to Sunday Desk.